Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schwartzler. Welcome to our kitchen. Today I'd like to share with you my recipe and procedure for curing a leg of lamb. I like to call it lamb ham. It's a very simple process and also a pretty creative way to prepare lamb outside traditional cooking methods. Join me now as I show you how to prepare this fun and amazingly flavorful dish. At this time, I'd like to say thank you to all the current subscribers. Your support is very meaningful and it helps keep me motivated to produce more material. If you are new to the channel or a repeat visitor, welcome. And if you've not yet done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit your notification bell and be up to date with all of our latest posts. Let's get cooking. Well, to begin, we want to make our brine. So we'll begin with water, kosher salt, little bit of brown sugar. I will add my DQ1 or curing salt number 1, pink salt, not to be confused with Himalayan pink salt. I add mustard seed, and I will add mixed peppercorns, pink and white, and also juniper berry. Let's go ahead and stir this until the salt and sugar dissolve. So there we are with all of the salt and sugar dissolved. Now I like to take my syringe, let's fill it, and we're going to inject the brine into the meat. The good thing with this is, because it's a leg of lamb and it already came with the jet net on it, and it's basically kind of tied together to act as one solid piece, when in actuality it's not. Your finger can go all the way through here where the shoulder bone was and how it closed up. So you're not going to need an awful lot of the brine going into it because it's relatively thin piece of meat. Unlike a whole raw ham, which would be 13, 14, 17 pounds, that's a much larger, denser piece of meat where the injection is very critical because you want to ensure that the inside gets cured well. Nothing worse than curing the outside, and then when you get to slicing it, you find that the ham was not cured properly all the way through. So we will go ahead and inject and gently squeeze your brine into the meat, and you can see it starting to expand as it's taking in the liquid. And then let's go ahead and repeat, and periodically or sporadically all the way around, go ahead and again keep adding some. Be sure to go in deep enough to where you make certain that you hit every area that you possibly can. Now we're ready to put this into the cooler and allow it to cure. This particular piece of meat weighs about 6 pounds, so it'll take 3 days of curing time. A good rule of thumb with it is 1 day per 2 pounds of meat. Well, now the next step in the process is to remove our lamb from the brine. So first thing I want to do is remove my weights. And then let's set up my little wire rack here. Very handy when things like this. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. Let us air dry a little bit. Now what I'll do is let's discard the brine and rinse our bucket out. We'll rinse the bucket out with cold water, and then what I recommend doing is taking your leg of lamb and soaking it back into the bucket, completely submerged with water, and soak it for about 30 minutes, changing the water every 15 minutes. Well, while the lamb is rinsing in the cold water, trying to remove some of the residual salt, this is a perfect opportunity to toast our spices for our rub. So I have a pan over medium-high heat. I will go ahead and put in my peppercorns, both pink and white, juniper berries, as well as the yellow mustard seed. We will also include ground harissa, which obviously because it's ground, there's no need to toast it. This we will toast just until it gets aromatic. At this time, we have the leg of lamb removed from its soak, and I also patted it dry with some towels. Anytime you go to smoke something, you always want to dry the protein in which you're smoking prior to the smoke. That helps develop a pellicle, which will then get you more flavor, a better color. And there you have it. Be certain to make sure that your spices are nice and cool. Otherwise, if they're still warm, they will cake up on you. And wow, is it really aromatic. Those peppercorns are coming through, also with a nice toasted scent to it as well. Now, I like to add my harissa, and then we're just gonna go ahead and mix this around. And there you have your rub. The next step, let's go ahead and season our lamb generously. It's always a good rule of thumb to keep one hand clean, so if you have to add more rub to it, you can use the clean hand without contaminating. Now we can save this for later use. Although I do recommend toasting and grinding your spices fresh, as they will be much more aromatic and pungent. If you're going to save it for a later time, try to use it up in less than a week and store it in an airtight container or even cryovac. So now that we have our meat crusted, we're gonna let it sit on a sheet pan with a wire rack and allow it to air dry for up to 8 hours. Well, here we are, ready to get our lamb into the smoker. So go ahead and pick a shelf you want to put it in. Then what I like to do is I use my thermometer and I feed it down through the vent up top. Put it into the thickest part of the meat. Set it up. And go ahead and smoke it until we hit an internal temperature of 150 degrees Fahrenheit. The smoker temperature is 225 degrees Fahrenheit. Very much similar to the recipe when I'm smoking a regular pork ham. So now sit back and wait and enjoy that wonderful smell. Well, here we are now after the smoke. We have reached our internal temperature of 151 degrees Fahrenheit. It did take a little longer than expected as it stalled out at about 131 Fahrenheit. So let's go ahead and turn the power off. Go ahead and disconnect our thermometer and remove our product. Now I want to take it inside and let it cool down before slicing. Well, here we are after letting it rest. It smells fantastic. I want to go ahead and slice it. I'll slice it a little thicker just to give you a better shot of the interior. Look at that beautiful color. This is lamb ham. Got great color. The texture is nice, just like a pork ham would be. And it's still a bit warm, but I'm gonna slice it really thin just to make it a little less chewy, because sometimes the pieces can get chewy. My guess on it is if it's a little bit chewy, that it's the piece of meat was probably not cured properly in that little spot. Where I'm looking at this beautiful even color and the texture of itself. It eats just like a regular pork ham. Fantastic. Love it. Well, there you have cured smoked leg of lamb. Lamb ham, if you will. There, I ended up putting it into the brine late Wednesday afternoon, early evening. I removed it from the brine early Sunday morning, and then I got it into the smoker around 6:30 a.m. and then the smoking process from there. As I mentioned outside, it did stall at 131 degrees Fahrenheit. The exterior is nice and dry, a little firm. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's demonstration. Hope you give it a shot. This is just one more way of serving lamb, and I think for Easter or even Mother's Day, Father's Day, this would be a great substitute for a ham, or even a great substitute for any other type of beef roast. It eats very well and can pair with just about anything, vegetable starch wise, and not to mention, a good glass of red wine. Thank you for joining. Juniper Berries.